We gather together this morning, tenderly, like drops of dew on a leaf of grass, hopefully, like gathered raindrops in a cloud, gleefully, like water rushing in a stream to the sea, deeply, like groundwater pulled up from a well. We gather from every direction for a time of growth and depth, a time of companionship and hope, a time of learning to love this world. We gather like the water that joins us across all of creation, the water that connects us within and without, merging and flowing across the entire world. Words by Molly Hoosh Gordon. Judy will light the chalice here in the sanctuary. Those of you at home are invited to light your own chalice now. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by the spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lit the flame within us and the community. Before we sing the first hymn, let me remind our remote participants to leave yourselves muted. However, we want you and whoever is with you to sing as loud and joyfully as you can. Make it a joyful experience. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the opening hymn, Earth is Our Homeland, number 309. Thank you. There's some good visuals in that hymn. Nice visuals of nature. Welcome and good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of Cambria. We are glad you have joined us today. Our UUCC sanctuary sits on land that the Salinan and Chumash indigenous peoples historically habitated. We honor their contribution to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to gather in faith on their unceded territory. Let us respect their legacy and protect their history as we occupy this sacred space. As Unitarian Universalists, we celebrate religious diversity and welcome all who journey in search of faith and spirituality. The UUCC is a lay-led congregation run by the democratic process. We invite speakers from different religious traditions and spiritual or scientific backgrounds to speak at our pulpit. We encourage presentations covering a wide variety of topics and areas of interest that connect with the UU7 principles. Today's service centers around the first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. My name is Sue Davis, and I am your worship associate for this morning's service. Hi, Sue. Hey, hi there. I'd like to extend a special welcome to today's guests and visitors. We're glad you joined us this morning. If you wish, please stand and introduce yourself or your guest. No, we got two. Ladies first. Go ahead. Patty.
I'm Jan Cooper's sister. So just visiting for the weekend.
Nice. Peter, I'm visiting from San Diego. I used to live here.
Welcome back, Matt. Yes, John.
If I can introduce a guest.
Yes, certainly.
My high school classmate Jim Hawkins is a new resident of Cambria, and he's joining us today.
Welcome. Welcome, Jim. Well, if you're not on the mailing list, please visit the UUCC website at uuccambria.org so that we can keep you informed about all our activities. Members and friends, please check out the What's Happening, the e-blast sent to you every week. This is a great way to keep up with our news. If you wish to see this or any of the past Zoom services, the recordings can be found on the UUCC website and on Facebook. So again, good morning and welcome to everyone, and happy St. Patrick's Day. We're the only green thing in my wardrobe, but I won't get pinched today. Yeah.
Still happen.
The affirmation is both a recognition of the nature of this community, as well as a promise to which we aspire. Let us now recite the UUCC affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help one another. We set aside this time for any special announcements that would be of interest to our UU community, members and friends. Please keep your items short and to the point. If something needs more explanation, please contact the person after the service. If you'd like to make an announcement, please raise your hand. When Randy or I call your name, please step up to the podium and unmute yourself, then speak. We have any here? Let's do Dolores first and then Janet. Yeah. Oh, I can help you with it. How's that got to yourself? We need to see your beautiful face.
That's right. So this is a long one, a little bit of a long one. So this is about our new Article 2 that's coming up. And I want to read just a little bit from the Church of the Larger Fellowship, for those of you who are familiar with that, online church, okay? So they said, during the 2023 UA General Assembly, delegates voted to move forward with the proposed language. There will be a vote during the 24 General Assembly on whether or not to adopt these official articulation of our shared faith. One of the defining characteristics of our Unitarian Universalist faith is our living tradition. We do not etch our faith in stone precisely because we hold sacred that it must change. It must adapt to new challenges. It must meet new understandings, and it must evolve based on new experiences and connections. As beloved as the principles of Unitarian Universalism have become in almost 40 years since they were adopted, working with these new values is an important way to lean into the promise of our living tradition. I invite you to consider the values through the particular lens of how they may shape our shared faith. If the new Article 2 is adopted as our official faith language, that is the next phase of work ahead of us, to continue to co-create this faith with these values in mind, shaping and expanding their meaning by how we live them together. So my question to you is, a straw poll, how many of you would attend like 3 meetings here after church so we could discuss, the values, the new values coming in that are written on the sheet that are back there and in the front? Make sure you have one. I keep forcing this on you. Okay, you would? 1, 2, oh, you would, okay, great. So better here than in Zoom? Yeah? Oh, yeah. Okay, well, that answered that one. Thank you very much. Okay, I appreciate it.
I will do that. It's always, okay, yeah, good, great. Janet doesn't need it, I don't think. Janet's next. Or maybe you do.
No, I'm better off that. Okay,
Thank you
yeah,
for volunteering, by the way. It's always good to see volunteers stick up their hands. And thank you.
yeah,
We get
absolutely.
locked out of the meetings.
I've got a short one. Next Sunday is our final 4th Sunday collection for the food bank. So just keep it in mind, I won't be here. We're going to be off on the trail somewhere. May or may not come, we'll come back. Anyway. Okay, just remember, next Sunday, 4th Sunday food bank.
We have narrowed our choices. We have 7 candidates from Coast Union High School, and we have 1 coming up this week. We have interviews on Friday morning at Leffingwell, and we will pick 1 student from Leffingwell, I hope. I hope there's not more that we need to help. But we need to raise some money because we don't have enough in our budget to pay for those 7, 8 students. We need to raise $2,000, and we have 550 now, I think. But yes, please, please, please think generously, and this is the future of our town, of our country, of our world. Please help these deserving young people. Thanks.
Go ahead. In the back, and then Jack. Sorry, I got the wrong glasses on. Well, there you are. Yeah. My glasses only go so far. Good to see you.
Good. I just want to give a shout out to my friend Teresa Lees. She's lived in this community for 30 years. She is the, I guess, leaser of the Our Global Family Farm, which is down on City Farm right off the highway, 101. And she invites people to work there on Sundays, volunteers from 9 to 12. The 3rd Sunday of the month, which is today, she has a community potluck. The theme is Irish. I will be there, and I just want you guys to know that. And she also had a great write-up in the Cambriaca under community. So check that out about Teresa Lee. She's fabulous. Thank you.
Jeff?
Thank you. I think it was very appropriate that you actually had Kat come up here first, because she was one of the people that I gave this pledge to, and I was going to mention today that I am asking for forgiveness because I had made a pledge to write a document or draft a document for the church here in particular, because I wanted to address the conflict in Gaza and have a statement that could be drafted for our church particularly, not just the UUA Assembly, which has already made a draft in that to that effect, but a draft for this church as well. So the forgiveness is that I have not, and since I really wanted expediency on the group and asked the group for expediency in this, I myself am not expedient, so forgive me. And I'll speak more on that later. But other than that, I wanted to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to write that draft. I will continue to do so, and I wanted forgiveness for my lack of expediency. Thank you.
And then that draft will probably go through the Social and Environmental Justice Committee. So that's the right pathway for any action like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Any more Any more announcements in the sanctuary? Nope. Any in Zoom land, Randy?
Yes. Andy, please unmute yourself and announce.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Just a reminder, the men's group meets tomorrow at 10 a.m. here at the sanctuary, and hopefully on Zoom. I'll send out a reminder. Thank you.
Okay, back to you, Sue.
Dolores is waving her hand. Do you have another announcement?
There's a board meeting tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
Board meeting tomorrow at 3. The next week, Reverend Ken Reed Brown from Hingham, Massachusetts, will present Love is What It's All About. Sharing together some of our personal and significant joys and concerns brings us closer as a faith community. We invite you to share the milestones that are deeply felt as part of your personal life, express a gratitude, or perhaps offer an acknowledgement. But please be mindful and considerate of all of those who are come to worship with us this morning. The collective flames of these candles embody all the joys and concerns which may have gone unspoken today, but are also deeply felt in this community. The first reading is an excerpt from Disruptive Realism, Paintings for a Distracted World by John Seed. Few among us are strong enough to resist the tantalizing flow of images and information that is prying us away from what previous generations called reality. Nature, other people, and great paintings in museums still interest us, but smartphones are giving them some serious competition. We are the most distracted society in the history of the world. Television, which so many media age Savonarolas warned us would be the end of culture, was just a warm-up for this whatever you want on demand tsunami of personalized content. Let us enter a place of peace and serenity where you are one with your spiritual being. Be at peace within your space, where the absence of all that is temporal is its most cherished gift. Let us enter the stillness. Empathy we need to strengthen relationships. May we find ways to love each other well. May we not judge or condemn, but rather build a beloved community. The second reading is an excerpt from a Facebook post by the Dalai Lama, July 11, 2013. To be contented human beings, we need trust and friendship, which tends to develop much better once we realize that all beings have the same right to happiness, just as we do. Taking others' interests into account not only helps them, it also helps us. Warm-heartedness and concern for others are a part of human nature and are at the core of positive human values. Now, a little bit about this next hymn. The flower celebration, as it is celebrated today, was initiated in Prague on 4th of June, 1923, by Norbert Čopek, who was also the founder of the Unitarian Church in Czechoslovakia. He saw the need to unite the diverse congregants of his church from varying Protestant, Catholic, and Jewish backgrounds, without alienating those who had left these traditions. For this reason, he turned to the beauty of nature and had a communion of flowers instead of the Eucharist. Though Unitarian Universalists often refer to this ritual as the flower ceremony, festival, or communion, Čopek's term, Oslava Kvetin, is more accurately translated as flower celebration, a term which continues to be preferred by Czech Unitarians today. The next hymn was written by Norbert Čopek in honor of Oslava Kvetin, or flower celebration. Please stand in body or spirit and sing Color and Fragrance, number 78.
In human eyes
Today's talk is titled, What Contemporary Representational Paintings Can Tell Us, to be delivered by John Seed. John Seed, his wife Linda, and two daughters Evan and Condi moved to Cambria 6 years ago in search of beauty and community. His oldest daughter, Chloe, lives in Portland. John is an artist, writer, and independent curator who holds degrees, you're right, who holds degrees in studio art from Stanford University and UC Berkeley. Yep, his most recent book, More Disruption, Representational Art in Flux, presents the works of 43 artists whose works tell the story of their experience in a world of disruption. John recently stepped down after serving 3 years at the board president of Greenspace, which is one of our Fourth Sunday recipients. And he's looking forward to becoming a grandfather in April. Please welcome John.
Well, thank you for having me back, and it's just a great feeling to be here. I'm really honored to be speaking to you. And with that said, Randy has done a really great job editing the presentation. He's shown me how the clicker works, so let's move forward. Really brief art history lesson. I wanted to say something about the history of painting. That's a portrait from 1750 by Thomas Gainsborough, and it gives me a reminder of what painting traditionally did in so many societies, and that was to emphasize status. It was an aristocratic way of recording one's life and one's ownership of property. And what a difference now, where painting has the competition of smartphones, where each of us is in a way an artist who can capture any moment, formal or informal or humorous. It's changed the way we see ourselves. And that's a little bit of the context. That's the context that painting lives in now. You know, painting seems old, painting seems stodgy sometimes, but I look at contemporary art as being very alive and very vivid. And I've chosen today's presentation, to tell you what I am seeing in painting. And of course, my background is that for more than 30 years, I taught both painting and art history at a community college. So as my daughters will tell you, the way I'm interested in painting, it's the way some of you are interested in sports or music or wine or travel. It's an obsession. And that's what I bring to you. Some of the things I wanted to say about painting is just to remember that each painting is a decision. An artist has said, this is worth my time. This is worth painting. This is worth showing to you. I like to remind people that painting is slow, whereas photography is fast. So there's a great deal of effort and skill that goes into the paintings I'm going to be showing you today. Painting's personal. That's part of the decision I mentioned, as the first element. Painting also joins you with a long tradition. And painting can take you back thousands and thousands of years. So when you pick up a brush and attempt to make a painting, you are connecting through history, across culture, across time. I think painting is a wonderful way of opening up the imagination. And I also think that painting comes through the body. It's one of the things I love about it. And something that my college art instructor used to say is, he used to say, there's an energy that comes from my mind through my arm into the paintbrush, and that's the only way I can explain it. And I thought that was a little bit kooky when he said it. And then I lived it and decided that there's actually a truth about that. As I chose the works to show you today, first of all, I want to tell you something about how I hope you will see the paintings. I'm going to offer comments. I'm going to tell you a little bit of what I see, but I'm very interested in what you see. I was interested to hear the Unitarian value of things are not written permanently or in stone. What you get from each of these paintings is very individual and very important. So I'm not an authority figure telling you what to find in these paintings, but I'm rather here having a conversation with you. And in the back over coffee, when we're done, I'll hear your thoughts about these paintings. But some of the themes that I felt were showing up in contemporary painting, everything about connection, love, friendship, human connection, anxiety and loneliness is there, very present in recent paintings. You're going to see the importance of social issues and social contexts in contemporary painting. The environment is there, violence is there, and then, very importantly, a great number of the paintings, I think, are primarily about being seen. An artist is showing you themselves or people they care about and letting you know this is worth your consideration and worth taking in. So that said, let's bring up some of these paintings. Bo Bartlett is a Georgia-based realist painter who, interestingly enough, first thought he was going to be a minister and then became a painter. And the quality that I admire about his paintings is the openness of the narrative. If we had an art historian here, an art historian would say, well, some older painting used to have poesia, and poesia is a poetic quality where clues are put out there, but things are left open. So in Bo's painting, you notice that a group of people are behind an orange cone and caution tape, and they look towards us, which must mean we're the disaster. Or, something bad has happened. Is it a car crash? Is it a robbery? What's going on that they're being taped off from? And the tape is a dividing line between a young officer who must have a great deal of responsibility and the people who gaze toward whatever we don't see. And behind them is a telephone pole, which, is it a telephone pole or a Christian cross? There's a play with religious symbols. And I think when I talk to you over coffee, when we can break down some of these paintings more, there's so much to explore. The painting gets deeper and deeper the longer you look. And are there questions about race? And are there questions about our role in society and who is protecting who? I think there are. And one more Bo Bartlett painting, a painting of kind of a heartland American couple. And the young man holds a gun. He's been deer hunting. And you can see there's a boy in front with a stick who maybe is emulating what might be his father or his older brother, but we don't know. It's not important to know. But again, we're taken into a dialogue with these characters, and Bo asks us to really, really see them and maybe judge them, maybe not judge them, but think about who they are and think about what they represent in history and culture and what's our relationship to them. And again, it gets deeper and deeper and richer the more you consider who they are. Alla Bartoshak is a Ukrainian American, and her recent paintings have dealt with a kind of duality that she feels. She feels the relative safety and security of living in California, but she's intensely aware of the conflict in the Ukraine, where she has friends and family members, and where the news about that conflict has a tremendous impact on her every day. And by layering her images, by showing herself, but in double depiction, where one figure seems to be in one space and the other looks toward a world that is only partly available, or in another painting where there's a self-portrait of Alla dreaming about the reality as she tries to dream it, experience it, and take it in, with figures hovering at the bottom that we can't quite identify. She takes us into a dream space. She's an imaginative painter, and her imaginative fantasies and concerns and ruminations take us into a different space and personalize it. Sandow Birk has painted Our Worst Nightmare for something that has happened. He's painted a school shooting. This is a history painting he did about the painting at Stoneman Douglas High School. And I haven't put titles up on these paintings, but I do want to give you the title of this painting. The title is The Triumph of Hate. And you'll see death, on a skeleton horse, as if we're looking through a medieval painting in this contemporary painting. And there's an interesting decision here, because you absolutely can scan this the way you might scan a news photo and see the paramedics and the victims and the scared students being led away in lines. You can see all the things that the news would show you, but by putting in the figure of hate, he's telling you something. He's depersonalizing what happened and asking you to consider that this is the byproduct of hate. When hate spreads through a culture, what does it lead to when you step back? And I think that's what he's wanting to symbolize or talk about. Matt Bollinger is a wonderful painter who paints what I would just call everyday experience. as his subject matter. And here we can see one man with a pickup truck is getting some gas in a red can, while a woman who, hard to say, but maybe she works in nursing or medical. You recognize that green outfit. And she also has just filled her tank. And here he takes something very, very mundane, but by painting it, is it just me, or does it have a hint of a sacred moment, of a ritual or something important? And it certainly gets me reflecting on, well, what is the importance of our vehicles and transportation and our reliance on fossil fuels? All these things are there in the painting when you take it a little bit deeper. But it's also just a beautiful painting, beautifully lit, intriguingly colored, takes us into their world, which is part of the power of painting. Deborah Brown made this incredibly vivid painting with almost, day glow pigments and colors in New York City. And you're kind of walking along. If you put yourself in Deborah's shoes, here's a line of purses for sale on one of the streets as cars go the other direction. We see the vendors and the peddlers, and we also see, just coming off the edge, a woman with her Louis Vuitton bag, who almost seems like she belongs from another world. And so Deborah takes us into the flow of this experience. If you look up her art, she's very, very well known for her shadow paintings. There are a lot of paintings where you just see her shadow and the shadow of her dog as she walks her dog. So she kind of takes you on a journey. It's like, take a walk with me, take a stroll, and what do I see and what do you see in the world we are inhabiting? Aaliyah Chapin was originally a hyper-realist painter, and I'm going to show you one of her very, very real paintings in a moment. But during COVID, she had a change of mind about her art. She realized she had to do something to her painting to show the disruption and the anxiety she was feeling during COVID. It changed her, and it had to change her art. So she has this kind of a double portrait where her body is the lower half of the painting, and this expressionist, very rapidly brushed figure is the upper half. And the painting tells her and tells us, embrace both. They're both part of her. They're both part of her experience. And the blue tonality, which of course makes me think, well, Picasso's blue period. That's the melancholy or the regal color, gives it an emotional tone. That's one of Aaliyah's earlier paintings, and you might be interested to know that the people who posed for these paintings were all of her mother's friends. And it's a painting about, and again, you tell me over coffee, but to me, connection, vulnerability, frivolity, aging, the figure in nature. Yeah, that's what you can tell I did that for a living, right? 5 themes in 30 seconds there. But, again, this is what I keep finding when I look at paintings, and it's the thing I want to share with you, is I think a way to maybe judge a painting, if you want to be an amateur art critic, is how much is there when you keep looking? And how much richer does it get over time when you talk about it with your friends or just talk about it with yourself? This painting gets richer and richer in the way it evokes vulnerability and even childhood for the figures involved. I found a lot of satirical and biting paintings that I could show you, and just chose a few. I think you get the message of Karl Dobsky's painting of people at a party in Los Angeles. You might as well call it Rome Burns, or Los Angeles Burns. So there is, the luxury and the flirtation and the wealth and all of these things as danger, seemingly in the form of a wildfire, consumes the edges of the area around them. But I don't know if this painting has a message other than to say you can have a really great time while things are falling apart. But there's certainly warnings, and I think there's a little bit of a minister in Karl Dobsky, just like there is in Bo Bartlett. It's a moralistic painting that puts together uncomfortable realities and lets you untangle them. Michelle Dahl is a painter whose subject matter is her own family and sometimes her own friends. And anything you could want in the field of tenderness, the meaning of being together, the meaning of family, the wonder of just time that's spent just enjoying each other, parent and child, it's all there in Michelle's work. And she's another artist. Any of the artists I mentioned today, you'll find them on the internet. You can use Google and learn more about them. And you will find that this incredible tenderness animates all of Michelle's pictures through her whole career. It's the heart of her painting, literally. Zoe Frank is a painter that I discovered in writing the book Disrupted Realism. And Disrupted Realism, which, by the way, it's on the back counter here, and it's also in the Cambria Library. Not because they bought it, but because I made them take a copy. But Zoe Frank is an artist who wanted to show a rich kind of narrative subject matter, but she didn't want to do it in a traditional way. And that's why I call her painting disrupted, or some of you might even call it a little bit cubist. It is a wedding and a wedding reception, and there is joy and dancing and revelry and decoration, but it's a little bit mixed up. Yeah, you have to make your way through it. And I think one of the things these paintings tell us is that in our very fast-moving, distracted world filled with technology, we have to cover a lot of material in our lives every day. And I know here I am talking about the power of deep looking and looking at painting carefully. You come by my house, you'll find me with my smartphone scrolling, just like all of us are scrolling with our smartphone. Anyways, I think that she brings together two traditions. She brings together narrative painting, telling a beautiful and wonderful story, but also she reminds us how hard it is to look at so many things at once. There's a great deal of gay and lesbian themed painting going on now in contemporary art. Lou Fratino, when I look at his artwork, I'm thinking he has a style like Picasso. It's modernist, it's very, very graphic, it's very sophisticated, and his subject matter is simply connection and affection. And also that thing I said in my presentation about just being seen. One thing you see a great deal in contemporary art is that artists are putting images from all kinds of social contexts in front of us and saying, we're just here to be seen. That's all. Just put your eyes on us and make us part of your visual world and think about our lives. Salomon Huerta, who paints the Hispanic community of Los Angeles, feels that way about his neighbors. He saw this neighbor making a sign in his front yard and snapped a picture and just said, I'm here, right? A very, very straightforward painting. And maybe the opposite of Bo Bartlett, where there was so much going on that you had to consider and make your way through. This one is just a very, very simple one-to-one interaction. Kathy Lau is a Taiwanese American whose paintings are about her family's immigrant experience. And she has made a lot of paintings about her grandmother who is in Taiwan and who has been aging. And they meet over Zoom. This is not one of those paintings, by the way. This Zoom conversation was someone else, but she has done a lot of paintings about what's it like to be both connected with people and disconnected from them. And that for her, it's about immigration, but it also was about COVID. And her paintings make you kind of meditate on that idea. What's it like when people are in your life, but you can't quite connect with them, or technology helps you connect partially? And her paintings are gorgeous. And I think that a big part of what painting can do, it can seduce you into a world or a topic, so it means more or resonates more deeply than a photo might. Larry Madrigal makes paintings of family, and these remind me of Dutch 17th century paintings because they're often very humorous. They just make you giggle. Here, a father in his underwear has his daughter, who's covering his eyes, so he can't quite see what he's doing. And the littlest kid in the family is looking out the sliding glass door through the verticals. And it's a little bit of family chaos. And it's also, if you notice, there are bubbles being blown. So it's a little moment of magic, and maybe also a painting about what the hell is going on. That's the point of view of the father. A little bit of chaos is part of love and part of family, and a part of contemplating the future as you try to protect your children. Kerry James Marshall had a magnificent show at MoCA a few years ago. He is the first painter who, as a color, really took on black as the color of Black Americans. His figures are insistently black. And he took a whole group of tropes, of fixed ideas about how we see people, and flipped them. And in this case, we have black figures, black family, having a beautiful, beautiful, luxurious picnic on a lake. a red striped tablecloth and a picnic basket. The dog is there. The golf clubs are there. There's boating. It is almost like a kind of a Disney-esque world of fantasies of outdoor pleasure, like an impressionist painting turned up another notch, right? And he took all of this and he said, part of what Black Americans want to happen in the way that they're seen is for their pleasures and the normalization of their pleasures to be, a part of our visual culture, unlike, depictions of problems and difficulties. Rebecca Ness, wonderful Bay Area painter who painted this, what to me is a kind of a dichotomy. You can see that during COVID, she was doing everything she could to keep herself healthy. There's the organic milk, the fresh vegetables, but then Coors looming on the upper corner, right? And then all of that as, again, it's the same theme as Kathy Lau, being connected with people, but not quite connected with people, right? I don't know if her parents are there on the Zoom or her friends. But, interestingly, the history of still life is it used to be paintings from the Last Supper. It was a ritualistic, a moralistic painting, but now it's about a personal situation. Justin Liam O'Brien, another gay artist, paints this picture of a bar. And I think the title of the painting is Somebody Asked Me Out. So again, it's a painting about loneliness and connection or lack of connection. And it has a nice kind of a polarity in the fact that it's at one level a rhythmic, joyful, colorful, kind of brilliant painting, but the heart of the matter is a sense of being dislocated and lonely. So it has themes that work against each other, and being seen is there. Lee Price, fabulous photorealist painter who often paints herself in the bathtub. And in this case, painted herself surrounded by, my gosh, it looks like she's been in Cambria with Lynn's Pies almost, right? But indulgences. So it's a painting about pleasure, but at the same time, maybe a picture about being sated with pleasure, and also a painting about loneliness. Because what are the foods there? What are they compensating for? What do they make up for? And what's going on in her mind as she lies, in the middle of all of these. Alexis Rockman has devoted his paintings to the environment, and particularly to paintings, whole suites of animals. He's done, Abaddon style paintings of animals, but updated them for ecological concerns. And here he did something that used to happen in medieval paintings. Medieval paintings used to give you a cross section of the world where you'd have heaven and hell, and you could kind of see between both things. And here above the water, we have freighters and a floating dead gull. Beneath the water, we have a crashed airplane. We have all kinds of, green odd pollution. We have jellies, circling around the edge as cormorants dive. It's a weird, disturbing painting. And it's meant to be a weird, disturbing painting that also, when you look at the far edge, evokes history with the image of the clipper ship, the ship from further back. It's as if we're, being told, if you sail through history, this is what you're going to find. Amy Sherald, you probably know her because she did Michelle Obama's portrait. I think she paints the joy of life. She's been through a very, very serious heart condition when she was a younger woman. And I think coming through that and blossoming as a painter, there's a great deal of joy in her work. So the theme would be friendship, Black experience, being seen. And also, just formally, her paintings are very, very simple. You can see how she reduced the color to the background color to just one tone to show off the patterns of the bathing suits. And, she gives you this very, very direct experience of these two young, beautiful women. John Sonsini paints day laborers in Los Angeles, and John wants you to know he pays them well. He pays them for posing the same amount they'd be paid if they were digging in your yard. And you can see one of his paintings at the Autry Museum in Los Angeles, if you'd like to see them. They're very honest, workman-like paintings, which is well suited for a man that paints laborers. Jansen Stegner scares me a little bit because his athletes, for example, this woman, in her Texas hoodie here at breakfast, he distorts the figure. There's a little bit of caricature, and he makes his figures a little bit too athletic and a little bit too well-fed, like an experiment that's gone slightly wrong. And so here, you know, more pancakes when we really need, more watermelon, infinite cantaloupe, 2 fried eggs. You know, I think there's an affection for this figure, but also a little bit of pointed humor about who she is. Lu Xiaodong is a fabulous Chinese-based plein air painter, outdoor painter, who came to the United States and worked in New Mexico, I think. And here, it really fascinated him that an immigrant family had produced so many law officers. The seated man's a sheriff, and immigration officers. And he said, pose outside for me. So he had them bring their gear and the sheriff's horse and all of that to an outdoor picnic, and kind of showed their pride in being Americans, and you know, made us think about their relationship to the culture that they are so important in. And finally, I'm going to close with Jason Bard Yermarsky. He has been painting his grandparents now, I think, for more than 10 years. And he paints his grandparents with, here's a mixture for you, affection, respect, and humor, because he paints them as superheroes. And he will tell you, if you get in touch with him, that's who he thinks his grandparents are. He thinks his grandparents are basically superhumans, and their love for each other, their affection for their lives, and their willingness to be painted by their grandson in this way says a lot about their family relationships and connections. And that is my presentation. I want to say briefly that I have some books on the back counter for after the service, and Disrupted Realism is in the Cambria Library. But I look forward from hearing, you know, from all of you about what you saw in today's paintings.
Thank you. That was wonderful. And you're going to make one of those superhero grandfathers. I know the feeling of being grandparents. I'm going to.
No, that's not happening.
All right. Thanks. The morning offering will now be given and received. Please remember, we are a self-sustaining congregation and provide all financial resources for our many ministries. We recognize the spiritual value of generosity and invite you to participate. If you're viewing this service remotely, please use one of the methods shown on your screen. Thank you. Thanks for all gifts given and received for the work of this community. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the closing hymn, O Light of Life, number 117. As we prepare to extinguish the chalice, let us recite the valediction. We have basked in the warmth and beauty of this flame and this community. As the chalice flame is extinguished, we shall carry its glow onward. Let us kindle new sparks within these walls and beyond. Please extinguish your chalice at home now. Now let's form a circle and join hands, and John will give us our closing words.
I got it. May all of us wake up to the messages embodied in all the forms of contemporary visual culture. Let these messages and images deepen our understanding of both the joys and problems of our lifetimes. May you always remember that your eyes are the windows to your soul, and that truly seeing someone in life or in art is a profound spiritual experience.
Thank you very much.